Hey peeps, so not a live video tonight because I was going to do a scan and cut project, well, an extension of the stitch break that Shez and I did last week, but I decided I might show you how to do this in your software first, and I thought the best place to do that is at home in my big computer. So I am going to show you how to take your stitch break pattern that you purchased for $5 bargain from our website, and I'm going to show you how to take this pattern piece here and make that into a cut file for your ScanNCut. So let's do it. Okay, so first things first, you will need ScanNCut's program that is complimentary, it's free, called Canvas Workspace. So Canvas Workspace is something that you can either use live online or you can download and use it on your computer. And I would recommend downloading it. It's very easy to do because that means you are utilizing all the fonts and features of your specific computer. So if you have a ScanNCut and you haven't downloaded the Canvas Workspace program, just Google Brother Canvas Workspace. Let's see if I can do it for you now. Oh, let's Google something there. Hang on a second. So you want to Google ScanNCut Canvas will do the job, and then Canvas Workspace here. And then you can either log in live online, but I would click this download and follow the prompts. Take your time, read each thing from this button here, and then you'll install that on your computer. It doesn't take up a lot of memory, and it's very handy to have. Now, you can't use it if you are doing anything else other than a ScanNCut. So you can't use it on a Silhouette or a Cricut or something like that because the format for this, the output format is FCM, which is Fabric Cutting Machine, which is your ScanNCut. Alrighty, so once you have opened your ScanNCut Canvas Workspace, you will have what you are looking at here. So by default, a 30 centimeter or 30 centimeter mat, 12 inches by 12 inches. You have the option of dropping in shapes and whatnot, and we'll talk about all that another day. I'm going to show you how to bring in a design or a shape, or in this case, a pattern piece, and convert it to a cut file using the program. So now that you've opened it, go ahead and minimize it. So up here, up the top right corner, you will see the minimize button, and that hides it away. And we are going to open up the PDF that is Shez's pattern. Now, when you downloaded the pattern from our website, thank you very much, you will get it as a PDF, stands for Portable Data Format. It is a nice and neat way of getting lots of different information together on a piece of paper, photos, fonts, lettering, things like that, and getting it to you without it being corrupted. So what that means is you can see it and read it on your computer because your computer typically has some sort of PDF reader that understands it. However, you can't read this or get this picture and put it into your ScanNCut software. So we need to take care of that first of all. So what you want to do is scroll down, and if you haven't got it fitting fully, find somewhere on your PDF reader a magnifying glass down here, and make it bigger or smaller until it takes up a fair amount of the screen but isn't chopped off by the screen. And then you are going to look for something called a snipping tool, and a snipping tool is default to Windows. The icon looks like this little icon just here, and you might have to search for it using your search bar down in your taskbar to find it the first time. I highly recommend pinning your snipping tool to your taskbar so you can get to it whenever you want it. It's very handy. You do that by, when you find it doing a search, right click on the name of the program, which is snipping tool, and choose pin to taskbar. So now I've opened my snipping tool. I'm going to select new. And what this does is it lets us take literally a snip of the screen. So if I go ahead and do this, whatever's inside that highlighted white section, that will be snipped. See, there it is there. And then I can go ahead and right click on that and save it. But I'm going to do a little bit more neatly so that it's more succinct. It doesn't have all this junk around the outside. So I'm going to press new and come back and snip just around the shape that Shez has made for her Christmas tree. And now that's done, I'm going to right click on it. So holding down my right mouse key somewhere in the middle of this new picture. And I'm going to do save as. And I'm going to save it on my desktop, probably the best place to put it. Save it on my desktop, and we're going to call that shares tree. Shares tree. And you'll notice that it is now no longer a PDF. It is a portable network graphic, which is something that your ScanNCut software can read. So let's do that. And now I have saved that. I'm going to close that snipping tool. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to close this PDF because I don't need it anymore. And that now leaves me with my ScanNCut canvas like so. All right, so next, down your left-hand side of your workspace, if we hover over these icons here, there will actually be a pop-up that tells you what those icons are. So for example, this is our project collection. This is our shapes. This is our text. This is our SVGs, and this is our image tracing. Below here we have a couple of other things for drawing freehand, but we want to park here on image tracing. I've got to say, brother has been using this icon for image tracing as long as I can remember. So now we are going to left click and open that part. So now it's asking us to choose an image file to be traced. And we can either get the image file from the computer, such as the PNG that I just downloaded, or if you've got your ScanNCut hooked up by Wi-Fi to your computer, you can go ahead and scan the pattern sheet into your ScanNCut and it will transfer that scan to your computer. Very, very handy if you've got pre-printed patterns, like if you've got something from maybe Mandy from So Quirky, maybe some doll's clothes patterns. If you can fit them on the scanning mat of your ScanNCut, you can transfer them to this software and then create cut files from them and do lots of editing. But we're going to stick with what we want here, which is image from the computer. And we're going to go to our desktop and grab the tree from Shares. And there it is. So now, here you'll notice that the tree has a aqua blue line around the outside. So on the right hand side, let's look at these options and why we have this aqua line. At the top, it's telling us the name of the file, and if we've changed our mind, we can go back into File and get it again. And then underneath that, we have paste the image in the drawing area. We don't actually want that, but we're going to leave it ticked right now so you can see what it does. So paste the image on the drawing area, leave that ticked, and then underneath that, we have trace outer edge only. And if you have a look, the blue line has indeed gone around the outer edge of the shape. So we've gone for that option, as is probably the case for most patterns that we want to copy. The other option we have, if we hit this drop down, is to trace areas by color, which means it will identify blocks of color and try and trace them as individual shapes. So here, there's not a lot of blocks of color. It's trying to trace the outline inside and outside. It's not working because it's not made for this sort of project. It's made for like clip arts of rocket ships with windows and things like that. So for us, we're going to go back to trace outer edge only, and that looks like what we want. Now we're going to accept the crop size, whatever the size of the actual document that we originally brought in, and the number of colors. We aren't doing anything fancy, so we're going to leave it as default. And like I said, this tick stays on. We don't want it on, but we're going to leave it on so I can show you why. So here we're going to accept that this is what we want, and we're going to say OK. And there it is. Now, if I zoom in, so zoom up here, drag a zoom box around it, and then immediately go back here and choose the arrow to release the zoom function, it looks like nothing's happened. So the whole picture is on our mat, but we can't see any cut lines. If we grab the picture and move it, still no cut lines. What's going on? Right click, ungroup, and then move the picture, and look what we have, cut lines. So this picture often causes people drama because if we undo what we just did, or hit delete, I might just hit delete on my keyboard, click and delete, and we're going to trace again. And here, this box being ticked says that as well as putting the cut file on our mat, it's also putting a picture or a copy of the picture on our mat, which we don't need. We don't want that. So we are going to turn that off. So choose the file. If we're doing an outer edge only, almost always you will want to have that turned off. And now when we say OK, boop, you can see the cut file immediately. And there's no worrying as to why it didn't work, because the cut file is being hidden by the background picture that's visible. Cool. So that's it. That's the cut file ready to cut. And it is the size of the original document. But we don't, well, not the original document, the original picture, which is what we snipped off of the screen. So it's not actually the size of the original that we wanted, it's the size based on where we got our image from. So in order to make this the size that we want, we need to measure the original pattern piece or say to ourselves, okay, well, I want this Christmas tree to be 5 inches across, 5 inches up, 5 inches down, whatever you want. So in this instance here, we're going to make this 10 inches across. So from here to here, it's going to be 10 inches. So keeping in mind that each one of these squares is an inch, you get a really great way to ballpark what's going on, but we are going to manually change that size. So we need to select this. So if I click in here, I'm not selecting it. If I click in here, see how the arrow changes to a 4-way arrow? I am selecting it. But my advice to you is instead of clicking on the thing, click to the left or right and drag a box so it touches it. It only has to touch a little tiny bit. Look, just here in the corner, up here across the top. If this marquee box that you're dragging out bumps into a line even slightly, it will select the whole thing. So when you have lots of things overlapping, or maybe it's complicated text where you can't get your arrow to change to a 4-way arrow and get a grip, it is much easier to control by just dragging this across. So my ScanNCut advice, do a marquee box and grab what you want instead of trying to click on what you want. Cool. Alrighty, so that's what we want. On the right hand side, if you look over here, nothing is highlighted at the moment because I have unselected the Christmas tree. Select it and all of a sudden, boom, this is filled up. We're going to ignore the Properties tab and instead we're going to go down here to our Edit tab. Left click on Edit tab and ignore the X and Y axis. That is for much later down the track. But let's talk about the width and the height. So here we're going to go 10 inches, which is 25 centimeters, and 25 centimeters is 2, so times it by 10 to get millimeters, is 250 millimeters. So I'm going to highlight the width and make it 250, and then I'm going to press the tab key on my keyboard and you will notice it's gotten bigger, boom, in each direction. Do you see that here? Not sure if you think you've made a mistake, scoot your mouse right up to here. See this little arrow? Click on that. That is your best friend. Undo. Didn't want to undo it? Click on this arrow and redo it. So let's undo so we can do that exercise again. Grab the shape and you'll notice it's 159 wide, 159 high, and maintain aspect ratio is turned on. So as long as this is ticked, whatever change you make to the width, the program will automatically adjust the height accordingly. If I turn this off and make the width 250, tab, you'll notice it is now funky. Do not make up that tree. It will not fold up very well because the height has remained 159.3. So what we want to do here is go up to old mate, undo, reselect the tree and turn on maintain aspect ratio, highlight that and make it 250 millimeters. Boom. So now we have a bigger tree. Our tree box. So if you'd like to change this view so that you can see it better, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you for learning ScanNCut Canvas Workspace is to not use your magnifying glass up here so much, but instead use your zoom percentage. And that way you can zoom in and out. The most common mistake people make with a magnifying glass is they select it and then they zoom in and then they try to click in a corner and accidentally zoom in and freak out. What we are going to do is go back up here and choose the arrow to turn off the magnifying glass. And the best way to get back to how we want it to be is just zoom down and zoom down. And then see this little hand here? Grab it and we can move our viewpoint. So arrow is our picking arrow. That guy there is our picking arrow. That's our zoom box and that's our grabbing hand. So if I've chosen grabbing hand and then I try and click on this to select it, see, nothing's happening. Choose the arrow. I'll go away, grab hand. See, I can move my viewpoint, but I can't select. What's going on? Getting cross because I can't select it. You need to go back up here, and as soon as you finish whatever action here or here, go back to that pointy arrow to be able to choose and function again. So now we've made that the size that we want. That's all we're going to do today. I think I'll do another video talking about the other stuff because I actually really like Canvas Workspace. I love teaching it and I've forgotten how much I love it. So Calling it a day today, we are now going to simply accept that we love this where it is. If it is too close to the edge, if you try and do anything with it off the edge, your Canvas Workspace will yell at you and tell you to put it inside the mat. And I would avoid being too close to the mat, just pop it in the middle. And keep in mind that you can reposition this once you load it to your ScanNCut. Cool? Cool. Okay, so from here, let's talk about getting it as an FCM. If you do File and Save As, you are saving the mathematics and the instructions that are involved in editing this as a vector in your Canvas workspace. You aren't saving it as a cut file. So if you save this, there is a good chance if you take it over your ScanNCut, particularly older ones, it won't read it. So saving it lets you come back and edit the design later on, resize it, change it, modify it, make it bigger, make it smaller. Exporting it takes it from its native language of workspace and translates it to your cutting machine. So we want to export or transfer a fabric cutting machine file, Control E, just here. Let's left click on that. Now we have 3 ways we can do that. You can export the FCM file and save it. You can transfer it via Wi-Fi directly to your ScanNCut, or you can plug your ScanNCut in via a cable. To be honest, sometimes I use the Wi-Fi. I think it's really cool, but mostly I tend to export my fabric cutting machine files and put them on a USB stick, because that means that if I've got the USB stick laying in the drawer, I can just grab it out and plug it back in, and I don't need to turn on my computer. And I will say, hands down, ScanNCut is better than any other cutting machine for no other reason other than the fact that you don't have to use an extra device like a tablet or a computer hooked up by Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to make it work. So there is something to be said for downloading those files and putting them on a USB stick, and that's what I'm going to do now. So left click, export. I'm going to put on the desktop. You'll notice the save file type is FCM file. I'm going to go ahead and make that shares tree. And ignore this. This pop-up comes up because the last time I saved something, it was called Shares Tree PNG. But this is not a PNG. It's an FCM. So just ignore that autofill and then come down here and hit save. So now that file that I've saved on my desktop is in the language my ScanNCut can understand. Now all I need to do is put that onto a USB stick, or I could have gone File, Save As, popped in my, File, Export, FCM, put in my USB stick, and then saved it directly to the USB stick as well. So now you can take that to your ScanNCut and you can plug it in and go ahead and cut out your fabric and your felt, which we will do next video. Unfortunately, it won't be next week. I've got a meeting on very important businesswoman stuff, so it will be the week after that. Cool. All right, so thanks very much for watching. Again, not live, but I hope you got something out of that. And I will talk to you guys later. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and share it with your friends. I'm out of here. And I'm going to say with my little cursor, bye.